We're live. Greetings in the love and light of the one infinite creator. I'm Andrii and joined here by Fred, Ed, Adam, and Benny from kind of around the Eastern Hemisphere or Western Hemisphere. And so we'll start by reading the February 2nd, 2025 session. Sorry, February 8th. And then we will be continuing with the February 22nd session. So, because we're just finishing off the 8th. Okay, so Kuo, name who's been part of this group at times. Here, I'm just gonna have to mute. Okay, everyone's muted. Or no, someone else. Benny, I'm gonna have to mute you. Okay. Asks if you have a word or thought for him. We are those of Kuo, and thank you for this query, for there is always an honor to lend encouragement to our friends who travel the valley of the shadow of death, as it is called in one of your scriptural works through this third density experience. What is coming up for us to say is, keep up the good fight, our brother. Thank you. We thank you, our brother. We would add also to go easy upon the self, to release the judgmental eyes which look upon the self with all the things not done, or all the things done wrongly, as it would seem, and to recognize what has been accomplished, how far the self has journeyed, and however imperfectly manifested, to honor those intentions within the self which seek to be better, which seek to serve or seek to find the path laid before one. Yes, there are ever shadows within the self. This is inescapable. There are self-serving or selfish energies. There are knee-jerk reactions. There is impatience or anger or a sense of inferiority or superiority. Many are the distortions, but they who walk a spiritual journey have become conscious of an inner flame within them. Your friend and ours is aware of such a flame and is doing his best to brighten it maximally and to allow it, or rather to find its greatest path of outlet, so that this entity may be of service. And whatever the perceived destination, whether it be near or far, whatever the preconceptions about what it may look like, living of this journey right now, today and tomorrow and next is the point, and he is well upon the path. And once again, to close, we would recommend to him, as we have spoken multiple times in this session, that practice of meditation. For meditation, one can more keenly find that path which has been laid for the seeker. For there is not a spiritual seeker on the planet who does not have a plan, does not have that path which had laid for themselves to facilitate the learning and growth and the service. It is easy to lose awareness of this path, not only easy, but also unavoidable at times. But meditation, however, that may look for the self, the contemplation, and the prayer are means of tuning the self, that this path may become more apparent to the awareness. It is not necessarily that the whole scheme will be revealed to the self who meditates, and every step from now to the incarnation's end or to eternity itself will be revealed, but rather most fundamentally that the self can come into a trust that where they stand right now is on that path. And in that inner space that they create, trust can fill the heart and displace the anxiety, the worry, and the fear, so that the self may go forward with clear perception in that trust that they cannot make a mistake, that their lessons and their opportunities will meet them. And in that faith, insofar as the self can allow it to be a conscious, self-chosen principle within the heart, the self will be more clearly aligned with their highest destiny, and will be creating space to magnetize those opportunities for the highest fulfillment, which looks like simple trust and the freedom to release the self from fear. Thank you so much, Kuo. Really appreciate it. It's been wonderful. All right. I don't know. Did you guys want to reflect on that, or did any of that resonate with you? I'll ask Grok to make us a summary.
It sounds like repetitive stuff.
It sounds like repetitive stuff, eh?
I
Uh,
don't mean to sound egotistical or whatever. I'm just saying I'm hearing the same things. I'm surprised they didn't go into depth about the importance of meditation.
you are a.
I'm not being. I'm just
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I want to
What?
hear some new stuff.
Well, what would you like to hear about?
The sad part is it's going to be considered all transient information.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, transient information. Like what? What were you interested in?
Hello,
Hey, Ed, how
Well,
are you?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, my thing keeps cutting out, and you sound like you're underwater, so I was trying to sort that out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, for me, that reading there is just basically same thing as like kind of what Fred was saying, I assume. You see the Creator in all things, learn the lessons of love, meditation and see show you the way. He's just got what is it? Just everything is always perfect.
Yes.
Basically, quotes kind of catchphrase, I think, isn't it?
Well, I guess it's just like so many people. They're just they just, especially beginners in our culture, they need all the same lessons. You know, preserve with courage, but be gentle with yourself. This is the Grok summary. Honor your inner flame and intentions. Live in the present moment. Meditation is a tool for clarity and trust. Fred, they did include meditation. Meditation.
I'm surprised they didn't go into detail about it though. Usually they go into detail.
Oh, I see. Okay. Trust in your path and release fear. Conclusion: a journey of love, trust, and service. Call to action. How do you cultivate trust in your spiritual journey? Share your thoughts or experiences with meditation. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So tell us, Fred, what was the catalyst that you were interested in processing?
Um, I'm not sure that it's really a catalyst. But this is one thing I'm curious on. I guess maybe it's discernment. What's
Okay.
what would be like a trigger point or in your day-to-day 3D type of behavior where, and this would have to of course be where you have a choice, but when do you decide to say you're around somebody at work or maybe in your family or maybe a neighbor or something they're very toxic. They exhibit very jealous, envious behavior. They act out passive aggressively. There may be substance abuse involved, maybe a lot of vulgarity, a lot of profanity involved. How is it best sometimes to just completely ignore it, like you would ignore a child throwing a tantrum? Or is it best to actually say something sometimes, so long as there's not going to be any outward like violence exhibited towards you? What's it like a good litmus test to use where you're not breaking someone's free will, but you're also maintaining your own boundaries and exhibiting qualities that show all is one?
Okay. So how to deal with a. Well, I'm hearing some feedback. Okay.
Ed's trying to respond.
Oh, okay, Ed. Go ahead, Ed.
What on earth is going on?
I'm trying to. Can you hear me?
Can now.
Yeah, you can. It's weird. On here it says that I've got my speaker turned off. So weird.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we
right,
can
so,
hear you.
Okay. What I was gonna say about what Fred was saying, dude. You got to realize you got to start thinking about what judgment is. Because remember,
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing,
in
Ed.
the Law 1 teachings is outright. You can't judge somebody. Yeah, judgment is like one of the worst crimes because that takes away free will. So, just because you don't think that person is behaving in a way that you like or that you find particularly whatever, just realize that they're creator, man. Love them anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
pulling away and treating them like different will only ever make things worse.
But
Especially
to
if there's,
go
you know,
further,
you need to show them a better way, dude.
I think what
Not part of boundary.
Ed's referring to, I think we read a session a few months ago from Quo. I don't know if it was in this group or Jonathan's group, but they talked about what judgment really is. Like they asked Quo, and Quo's like, judgment is any thought unprocessed. So that means if you have these catalysts, these thoughts in your mind, and you're not verbally processing them, asking yourself, I'm sensing this, or ooh, this happened, and you're not like going through the process of getting over that issue, then it remains a judgment, and it'll keep coming up as catalysts. And remember, catalysts are elemental in nature, so if it's a catalyst affecting your mind or your body, those are different chakras to think about too.
Most of my catalysts, what I'm referring to when I'm relaying this is it's just maybe social catalyst because it's all work related, and it just seems like no matter where I work, no matter what I do, I'm introduced to someone somewhere that's extremely narcissistically passive aggressive and very envious, jealous, very angry, very outburst oriented personality.
You
And
just listed a lot of thoughts that are unprocessed because those are opinions, bro.
Right, but it's almost always like so bad that it's like a known thing in the work environment. Oh yeah, this person, you have to watch out for them because they get, whatever. And it's almost like no matter where I go or what I do, because my dad was that way.
I think that's every workplace. I feel the same way, bro.
And I compare all of these people in a row in my life that like everywhere I go, there's always one person that's like you can't say the wrong thing to them. They'll take it the wrong way and flip out. And next thing you know, they're throwing wrenches and screaming and yelling. So my question, because that's what I have been, what you said is actually what I have been doing. And that's where I get people that I work with coming up to me going, dude, how in the hell did you not punch him in the face? I'm like, he's just the same as me. He's 100% creator, just the same as I'm 100% creator. He's handling it way differently than I would handle it, but that's just because we're two different experiences right now. And they can look at me like their eyes crossed, like, dude, I don't understand you. Like, no, you don't have to. I just answered your question. So when you have people, saying things like that to you, I know at least my outward reaction is the same way. But my question leans more towards like, well, how am I? Maybe I'm not processing it properly. But at one point, I kind of know the 3D way. Like, if things are getting really crazy, I will remove myself from the situation until either whoever it is, leaves, gets out. Like today, he left. He stormed out of the shop today because he screwed something up and had a huge problem. So he, stormed out. Luckily, before anything else got damaged, and we were all kind of like, well, we kind of saw it coming this week. It was just a bad one of those weeks, and. I don't know how else I'm supposed to process this, maybe mentally or something. Go for it, Andrii.
Well, I'm thinking that if this keeps recurring into your life, then that is an indication that this is a pre-incarnative choice, that you keep putting these people into your life in order to help you deal with them. And it may also be the case that you were that person in, like, say, a past life, and you are kind of figuring out how to deal with yourself in the present life. And so Like, at least for me, how I deal with these people, and the rare opportunity I have to interact with such a person, is through forgiveness, love, and kindness, and compassion, and maybe teaching them a little bit about the law of one and the service to self, service to others, or sinkhole of indifference choice that they have, giving them the great choice, you know and just giving them a heart to heart, and having compassion, and then, like, if they're angry and yelling, and it's like, oh, I hear you have pain. Yes, yes, I feel your suffering, and I love you, and I forgive you, and I wish you well. And then the spiritual aspects too. But I've also got Grok's take on it, if you wanted to hear from that. So how to deal with a difficult individual who is vulgar and has bad habits. See the creator individual. Each person may seem to be a human entity, yet he is the creator. So you were doing this, at least you said you did. And to look upon the face of the one next to you is to look upon the face of the creator. Respond with love and understanding, not reaction. It is only possible to express love when you begin to have an awareness of the creator. It is simply to express love and understand, ending, regardless of the experience that confronts you. So instead of reacting to the individual's vulgarity or bad habits with frustration or disdain, consciously choose to respond with love. Doesn't Anyways, recognizing the distortion of love in their actions. Each action and each desire is in truth a manifestation of love, shadowed and twisted sometimes, for man is also creator and can cause the shape of love to change. So oftentimes, like when people are acting out in anger and frustration, it is because they feel afraid. They're afraid on the inside, they feel insecure, they feel unloved. Okay, and so they're acting out in anger in order to try to cover up the fact that they feel so afraid inside. And they need that love and that care to help them feel safe so that they can feel better. Okay, so use meditation to cultivate inner peace and clarity. Through meditation, my friends, you begin to see the heart of love and all the clumsy actions of all those who enter your atmosphere in your daily activities. And this is basically, it would you can gain compassion for those other people. So you have this person, they're giving you some catalyst. Then every evening you go into meditation and you think about the catalyst that you had throughout the day, and you call upon God or the angels or whatever, what have you, to help you process this and inspire you with what you need in order to love them, to forgive them, and to become a more whole version of the creator. Visualize the white and perfect light and love of the creator flowing from the creator through you and to that person, so that it totally surrounds the entity. Yes, for sure. And that is the visualization, but with it should also come the understanding to help you forgive and love them, and to react in a more compassionate, or respond in a more compassionate way in the future. Practice non-judgment and forgiveness. It is a difficult thing to give up that judging of yourself and of others. When you answer those who judge you with an answering judgment, you are collecting your karma. Far better that you allow the karma that has come to you to die as you forgive. That's powerful. So yeah, so it's basically, just holding that space of love. And as we learn to meditate, then we learn to see our thoughts, and then we realize that our thoughts are a stream. They are not us. We don't need to identify as our thoughts or as our feelings. We can simply observe them and say, oh, this thought is streaming through me, or this feeling is streaming through me. And we can forgive that thought. We can love that thought. We can say, yes, we are one. Yes, we are love. And I am grateful for this breadth of experience that I can have. And thank you, Lord. Thank you for all that you do and all that you provide. Serve through love, not control. Service comes in many various forms. All that is needed, my friends, is to truly love one another, a love which is not possessive. You can serve this individual by holding love intentions for them, even if they are not ready to receive it. You don't have to fix their habits. Instead, you can focus on being a beacon of love and light in the presence. So just be that peace, be that peaceful presence, that's unperturbed by what's going through with them, and just have, like compassion and love, see the fear behind their anger, and, reach out to that child who is hiding behind a shroud of anger. How judgment of others reflects on the self and issues. Okay, anyways, let's Fred, do you have any reflections on what I said so far before I go into this part 2 here?
Yeah, I hear all of that. I'm surprised I didn't go into more detail about the meditation. But the reflecting at the end of the day, I forgot that was actually a suggestion. I've heard that suggested multiple times, and that's actually what I do. And in doing that, in my specific case, I talk to the guy occasionally, at work when he's in a good mood. And I know he had a rough childhood. His dad beat the tar out of him. He was very mean to him. And his dad was an alcoholic. He's also an alcoholic. Also, he likes, pills and everything. So he's popped up, bouncing off the walls, and he's drinking at work, which is a problem. But the boss permits it. And so he's also friends with the boss. So he fights with the boss like they're best friends. And I mean, it's bad. So I don't want to say that I give him a free pass because he had a bad life, because I did the same thing with my ex-wife. I still am going to hold you accountable if you're an asshole to me. If you hurt me or almost hurt me because you're being a jerk and mad and you have 3 beers in you and you're on the tow motor, I'm going to react, maybe, violently. I don't know. But that's going to be no matter who you are. So, I watch myself. The 3D stuff I have under control. It's just I want to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I do view him as a creator. I do when I'm approached and asked by other people, what's his problem today or whatever, and I can relay things in a way where I don't say I'm preaching to anybody. I'm not going to preach to anybody, but, I give them my perspective, and I get good agreement on it. And also, like today, he stormed out. The secretary in the office, she was by herself all day. I guess she got yelled at too. He yelled at her or something, and she was crying. And she come out in the shop. You could tell her makeup was smeared, and she's one of those people that her hair and makeup have to be perfect. And she's a nice lady, but she was crying, and so to the point.
Well, did you comfort her?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's like, he was yelling at me because of this and that, and Joel and I left food in the fridge, and he didn't. He's saying you're here at 7:15 in the morning. You should be cleaning, and I don't. I feel like crap. It makes me feel like crap. I'm doing stuff, and I said, well, we appreciate you. We love you. We want you to be here. We got yelled at too. I get my ass reamed all the time from it. Don't worry about it. She's like, what did he yell at you for? I'm like, he yells at me for everything. He yells at me because I moved a piece of stone in the wrong place. So, I made her laugh, and, she at least didn't have a horrible start to her weekend. So I am able to do that. And then you said the thing about it possibly being pre-incarnative. I never really even thought of that before, but can you pre-incarnate? Because it seems like when those things happen, if there is a close to ideal meter for handling the situation, I can usually aim in that general direction. I'm not saying I nail it every time, but I'm really adept at smoothing things out, sailing through it nicely, unscathed. And I don't want to pressure my protective energy, my I don't want to put undue pressure on, that. I don't want to test the water. See, like, how brave is my guardian angel this week? And I don't want to be being a jerk about it, but I also want to be doing the right thing and being in the right place, knowing that I'm not being told inadvertently, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be somewhere else. I don't feel that I'm not supposed to be there.
I'm not saying you're not supposed to be there. Pre-incarnative choice is basically a choice that you made for yourself while you were in a disincarnate state. So it's kind of like a theme, or kind of like a Groundhog Day. You know the movie Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
So the guy goes through particular challenges, and he's only able to break the cycle once he learns to forgive, love, and be of service to everyone in the situation. So for you, that particular catalyst is these particular individuals that have this certain lifestyle choice, which usually, or often speaking, in terms of these pre-incarnative choices, the reason that people make a choice to say have to interact with such a person is because they themselves were that kind of person in a previous life, and they're trying to learn to have compassion for, say, the victims of that person, and to see what it's like to be on the receiving end of that, as well as how to have compassion to a person like that. If you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. So in theory, anyways, if you reach a point of like complete transcendence, where whenever such a person arises, you're able to neutralize them with love, kindness, forgiveness, and acceptance, by reaching out and talking to them, helping them find God. I don't see any, I don't know, like the cultural milieu that you live in, but I've never heard of any problem with preaching. So, sharing your spiritual views is considered completely acceptable, at least where I am. And hopefully it is where you are as well. And just helping this person to be a better person. And then if you're able to consistently do that, then basically these people will, you will have learned your lessons, and you will no longer need to re-experience them all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Okay. Great.
Ed's not muted.
Yeah. Okay. Here, I'll mute Ed. Oh, he.
Who are you talking to?
Well, I'm saying.
Who are you talking to?
Ed. Ed, we can hear you. Could you try rejoining?
Look what these cunts with fucking greatly run.
Ed. Oh, okay, Ed, we're gonna have to kick you out.
Just
Okay,
kick him,
sorry,
he'll
Ed.
rejoin.
Hold on, Andre. Hold on, Andre.
Okay, what? Do you have something for him?
No, you're the moderator. You can mute him. You know that, right?
No, it's just his speaker is already muted. So anyways, it's there's just a problem with his software here. I'm just gonna kick him out, and then he can rejoin when he realizes. Okay. Anyhow.
But and also too, I do think that there's reason that I maybe, I don't know if it's me being drawn to it or other people being drawn to me, one or the other, whichever way it is. But I think there's definitely something to it, because I seem to, whenever I come into contact with one of these individuals, eventually at some point in time, I notice a change in the way that they interact with me.
Okay.
And it gets drastic in either of two ways. Either they get softer or they get more aggressive, and sometimes both. But there's like no middle ground to it. It's like,
yes. So
I'm getting kind of the aggressive right now. extreme.
If you are, maybe part of the issue is that you are afraid of expressing yourself spiritually, and so you are interacting with these people and trying to resolve your conflicts in a secular way when the solution is spiritual. But because you are restricting yourself from saying anything spiritual, the situation is continuing to occur because your mission there is to help bring them to God. But you're not taking up your torch, so to speak. You are not doing the work of giving them that love and light to help them come to Christ or what have you. What do you think? Does that make sense? Or
I could maybe, because at this point he doesn't really talk to me too much. Last year he was more talkative.
well,
So
you have full capability of reaching out to him. If
yeah,
I
for
see
sure.
anyone struggling anywhere in my vicinity, I go out to them and I give them love immediately. Right there and then. I hear someone cursing off in the distance, then I yell, forgiveness, love, kindness, be at peace. May you have love. May you have healing. There's no hesitation. There is no waiting. There is no judging. There is just reaching out in love and in kindness and in service.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if you see them acting up, that means that's your cue. That is your cue. You notice it. That is your cue to act in love, to reach out in love, to help them, to help heal their pain, and to help them become a better person.
Next time he starts screaming and yelling, I think I just might hug him.
You could do that, or you can say, let's love
It
and
would
forgive one
it
another.
would change
Be
his
sensitive.
direction.
Be sensitive to where they're at. Like if they're in a violent rampage, maybe a hug they would misinterpret that as wrestling or something. But I'm just saying, you have to be sensitive. When someone is waving a knife at me, I don't go and hug them.
No.
I
But
tell them
there's
that
times
I love
when
instead what I do is I say, I see the divine within you. I love you. May you be at peace. And then they put away their knife. That's how it works. You have to learn the confidence that we live in a spiritual world. You can't just compartmentalize your spirituality for evenings and weekends and your online life and then not have that in your day-to-day life. That's cognitive dissonance. That's not, that's kind of like hiding a part of yourself. You have to be, brave enough.
that's meaning spirituality is a lifestyle, not a fetish.
Yes, exactly.
Weekend thing.
Exactly. It's not some kind of secret.
It's not a secret. Everybody knows what I do at work that's asked me anything about it. I'm not bashful about it, but
okay, well, I mean, like, living it, by reaching out and helping people, when they're having a hard time. Like,
I don't go there and tell them, oh, I have a pentagram on the floor in my room. I do my LBRP, but I don't do that. I don't tell them that.
Okay, that's because that's talking about yourself. That's not talking
about.
that's
Gotcha.
Not being of service to them.
Gotcha. Right. No, that thank you for making that differentiation. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. The goal is to be of service. Like Latwi has been of great service, and we know almost nothing at all about them. Like all we know is that they're a social memory complex, and there's like 18 million of them or something, but we don't know what star system they're from. We don't know if they're humanoid or if they look like praying mantises. We have no idea.
I mean, they never asked them what star system they're from?
No. Well, actually, they did ask, and they're like, we don't feel like that's appropriate to tell you right now or to give any information about ourselves. And then that was that. It's like, and so we don't know anything at all about Latvi, like almost nothing at all, and they are the main Confederation contact. You know, Hatton, we know more about Hatton, we know more about Ra, we know I don't know we don't know much about Oxal. But like basically, but Latvi is like a deep mystery. We don't have any personal information about them. All
It
they
might
do
be
is
is it a singular SMC or is it
yeah,
multiple SMC?
it is a SMC of the fifth density. We know that much. But my point is that you don't have to talk about yourself when you're helping others.
So would it be Lockwe as like the Native American thing, or
No, that's Moo.
but it's
Uh,
still Lockwe.
I'm not sure what you mean.
There's some story. I mean, I know a whole bunch of stories about the Raven and the Rainbow, and a whole bunch of different things. But if it would be Native American, I'd say it'd be kind of like a Pleiadian sort of contact, but that involves the Lyrians and a whole bunch of other things inside that confederation. One of my favorite are the Minnetonkans, and they were mermaids, right? And they were the most lit mermaids on the whole planet. And then one day, their own brothers and sisters and Orion decided to destroy them all. And that's all I can tell you about that. But inside my mother's house, we have mermaids everywhere. Like thousands of dollars worth of mermaids. So
Okay, so I'm getting here on Grok, and basically Latwi is from LL Research, and they are
let
from
me see the name.
fifth density, non-physical entities offering wisdom to humanity. No indication of the name being derived or linked to indigenous traditions. The closest earthly parallel is Latvia, a Baltic country in Northern Europe.
Okay. The North leading.
Well, Baltic, and then the name
Yeah.
Latvia and its people are sometimes historically referred to as Lets or Livs.
Yep.
Balto-Finnic tribe. Phonetically, Latvi and Latvia share some similarity, but the double I in Latvi's in its use as metaphysical context suggests it's not a derivative. In North America, the name Eurydice from an unspecified indigenous language carry meanings of spirituality and connection to the divine. However, Latvi doesn't align with any known naming patterns in indigenous languages. So yeah. Ending of names is Ukrainian or Russian in origin.
I do that too.
Well, oh yeah. So Ukrainian names in Slavic contexts, transliteration in both Ukrainian and Russian, you end up with II. So like Latvi is two I's at the end, and then like Andrii,
Right.
It's also two I's. Lack of clear Slavic root. The base name Latv doesn't directly correspond to any known Ukrainian or Russian root. Lata meaning patch or piece. Anyways, Latvia. Basically, that's the closest.
Okay.
Etymology of Latvia. Because what do you call it? In Poland, which is near Latvia, they changed their V's into W's. So let's see. Latgate, Latvia, Lithuania. Oh yeah. Anyways, so
Yeah, this is interesting for sure, though.
But yeah, this is
This is
basically like we have so little information. All we have to go on is the name.
Yeah, there's some weird Native American story I remember, but it's spelt something like that. But I'm gonna have to ask somebody because I can't remember it. This is all the
Okay.
way back from boarding school, so.
Okay. All right. Anyhow, so did we want to also cover the judgment, or you want to move on to another Confederation question? Fred.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Too bad Ashley wasn't here. She would know all that little tweet stuff. Her and Sashi both, she's very studied on that stuff.
Oh, here we go. So in Proto-Slavic, lot is for summer, or lud, like people and folk. Lot, cleared land. Yeah. So anyways,
So land
lat, yeah, like land.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised Nintendo Wii didn't come out with a land game.
Yeah.
Call it That Wii.
Okay. Oh well.
Ed.
Who joined us? Ed. Ed came back. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be a disruption. Sorry, I didn't realize you guys
Cleared
could hear
land.
me or whatever you booted before. I really apologize, whatever it was.
Your mic muted, but it didn't mute you.
And so we could hear you and your friends swearing in the background, and so we had to kick you out.
Okay, it's all right. I kicked him out, so it's okay.
Oh.
And I
No,
was explaining
your
to him
mic.
the difference between throwing knives and throwing axes. Got quite heated.
Ed,
Oh,
your
it's not
mic
quite heated.
indicated that it was muted, but for some reason it didn't mute. It wasn't your fault.
I
Yeah.
still feel bad because I subjected you to us weird people.
We
talking
know-
It's okay.
about-
We
feel
could
bad,
barely
that's
make
why I
out what you
said
were
that.
saying. It was just some yelling. But
Well, that's
you know.
good. That's good because it was horrible. So yay.
Oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. We were just talking about at the time you were doing that argument. We were talking about reaching out to people in love and kindness. So I don't know. Maybe we should have
That's
tried
me.
doing that.
That is what I did, though, dude.
Oh, you did
That
it.
is what I did.
And then, so what
I just-
happened?
I told him that I loved him, dude. He's just like just have to agree to disagree on how to use a throwing axe. It's just one of
Okay.
those things.
Oh, I
But
see.
Andre got annoyed and just booted me out. And it's Friday. It's law of one. I cannot possibly continue this dialogue under such pressures. So, go home, Johnny.
Oh,
You
I see.
crazy drunk man.
Oh, I see.
Huge,
Yes.
huge, massive, crazy drunk man.
Yes. Yeah, when people are drunk, I agree, they can be quite unwieldy, and it can be very difficult to get through them.
Well,
Well, the fact of the
I
matter is, we
agree.
love them all the same.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's a lot of the problems that I incur all week long because there's never a day that they're not completely drunk.
Ah, yes, that is unfortunate.
Well, if you can't beat
if you get them
during the
really
day-
early the day before they're super drunk, that might be the best time. I'm just thinking.
get drunk with them.
No, don't do that. That'll make it just compound the problem.
I experimented with that philosophy years ago, and if you want to give the metaphor of having something blowing up in your face, that's basically what happened.
I
Oh,
can
that
totally
sucks.
see that. Because
It is a
alcohol and humans don't mix well.
That's not fair whatsoever. In fact, it's the best chemical you can put in yourself if you're trying to do work with the sacral chakra.
Right,
you've
but
got to
I
realise
do that
that's
when
what
I'm
it
by
does.
myself. I don't need any help with complete, utter, total drunken shenaniganry uh, occurring all around me when I can't now stop it because I myself am drunk. That's just
Yes,
not a good combination.
no, it's not.
Well,
It's
if you
not.
can't beat them, join them. Why are you trying to control the situations anyway? That's what we talked about judgment and stuff earlier.
I've experimented with that, and
All
this
right.
is my results.
Maybe
Okay,
we
okay.
will
No.
talk about the
I,
judgment section here
not every situation,
because there's been a lot
obviously.
of talk about it.
Obviously,
Okay.
not every situation, but
Okay. Okay.
some of them.
How judgment of others reflects on the self and issues to work on. Judgment as a mirror of inner distortions. It is a difficult thing to give up that judging of yourself and of others. It is a difficult thing to love yourself and others in a totally trusting way. Yet this is precisely the key to understanding. If you find yourself judging the individual's vulgarity or bad habits, ask, what about their behavior triggers me? Does their lack of refinement reflect a part of myself I'm ashamed of or unwilling to accept? For example, their vulgarity might trigger your own fear of being seen as unrefined, pointing to an area where you need to cultivate self acceptance. Judgment as a barrier to unity. Hatton warns that the intellect's tendency to judge creates separation, obscuring the underlying unity of all beings. The nature of the illusion is such that the intellect will, by its very nature, analyze, criticize, discern each experience, this and that, or not love. When you judge this individual, you reinforce the illusion of separation, distancing yourself from the truth that you are one with them. This separation can reflect an inner struggle with accepting your own unity with the Creator, indicating a need to deepen your understanding of oneness through meditation. Oh, and in truth, I have to admit that actually a lot of the spiritual counseling work that I've done is with drunk people. Because oftentimes I meet them outside the beer store and they're in the middle
And they're
of
the
getting
most
drunk.
fun.
Well, no, I'm not saying they're the most fun. They're the ones that need the most help.
I'm
I
obviously
guess.
joking.
Okay, all right. Judgment and the ego's pride or humility. So woe be unto the man who begins to feel that it is his love that is setting those about him on the path of light. Woe also to the person who says, I am unworthy. I cannot be a fit channel for the love of the Creator. If you judge the individual as less than you, this may stem from pride, an ego driven belief in your own superiority. Conversely, if you feel overwhelmed by their behavior and judge yourself as incapable of handling it, this may reflect excessive humility or self doubt. Both attitudes suggest the need to balance confidence and humility, recognizing that you are a channel for the Creator's love, not the source of it. So, if they are healed, it is by God's grace. Praise God that God is flowing through you and helping these people, not that you are doing it of your own volition, or as in maybe not you are doing it of your own volition, but what you are doing is channeling the Creator and letting the Creator provide you with the best words and thoughts, feelings, words, and actions in order to be of service to others. Judgment exactly, yeah. Judgment as a call to inner work. An entity which is able to see clearly the purpose of the third density illusion is able to see that no matter what experience is encountered, the potential for each experience is enlightenment. So the discomfort you feel when judging this individual is a catalyst for self-reflection. It might reveal areas where you need to work on patience, compassion, or releasing control. For instance, if their bad habits frustrate you, you could indicate a need to let go of the perfectionism or desire to control others' behavior. But actually, what I think what I like about this quote, that the potential for each experience is enlightenment, is that um, you know, the idea is to let the Creator speak through you to them in a way that brings them closer to God. And by coming closer to God, they will be calmer, more loving, and more kind, because that is what God is. Transforming judgment through love and meditation. It is only when you allow your intellectual mind to become quieted that you may begin to realize your connection with the infinite love of the Creator. And that is so true, because when we our thinking, in our analytical minds, that's just the flesh. We have to kind of still ourselves and find that quietness within in order to hear the voice of God or the spirits or the angels and what their suggestion is or what words they have to share with this individual. Because, this individual who is drunk or otherwise spiritually closed off, their spirit guide may have been trying to reach them for years and hasn't had any
Hey,
success.
wait a sec. Why would you say that alcohol makes somebody spiritually closed off?
He said, and
Okay. Anyways, so
No. I just wondered because the word spirit, as in a strong alcoholic drink, is related to the fact that when you really look at the root of alcohol, distillation, came from it was part of the alchemical process.
But it's
Well,
poison to your
it
body.
means-
If
yeah,
you love yourself, you don't poison
Hey,
your
hey,
body.
hey,
alcohol
hey,
is
hey.
he's
it comes
getting
from
to the
spirit
point where he's
ether.
explaining how that's
Spirit
going to take
ether.
effect.
What?
Right? Alcohol is about it's consuming the person's soul.
Oh, okay, no. You're talking
That's
about the very old Islamic view
The Al
on
Ghul.
well,
alcohol.
that's
Yeah,
Al
where
Ghul.
which
Yeah,
is
that
which is
is
where the name
where the
comes
word
from.
alcohol comes
Yeah,
from.
I know where the name comes from. I know, but that's why it came from that, because that's how they viewed it. But in the West, we did not view it that way. In the West, how we
Maybe
viewed it,
I think
is the
maybe in
water of
Britain.
life. We
In Britain.
also used it to become inspirited, which is inspiration. That's where that word comes from. Yeah, all of these things essentially were
Alcohol is a
practices,
vibration
occult
too.
practices, using alcohol as a way of quieting the mind to allow spiritual whatever. Don't get me wrong, that's not how we use it in the West. But like Crow says, we use all the drugs wrong. We use all the medicines wrong, and that's where the problems lie.
Well,
Right,
Yeah, the reason people the only
It's
reason
used
anyone
appropriately.
has addiction to anything is because it makes them feel like they're closer to Creator.
Yes,
That's it.
that's true.
But they're
But
not
That's
realizing
what
that's
what
what
they're
alcohol
saying.
Andrii
does.
is,
It makes you
Ed,
feel closer to
please,
Creator.
Ed. So what Andre is referring to is people when they are completely misusing and abusing the substance and using it as a crutch mechanism as a negative coping mechanism, not for
Yes.
people who are using it for spiritual purposes or because they
Yes.
have a toothache.
I'm just saying that. I'm just saying the relief that an alcoholic gets is because they are spiritually opened, not because they're closed off. Right, and that's what gives them the feeling of being closer to Creator, of feeling of the reason that fills the hole inside that they don't understand, which is why they have an addiction.
Well, okay. I don't have enough experience with alcohol to comment on that. And so in any case, the idea is an individual who is not spiritually aware and not consciously connecting with their spirit guide, and you as a channel of the infinite creator, and a person who meditates regularly and is able to observe your thoughts and to discern which thoughts are yours and which thoughts are coming from the spirit, and then you can discern which thoughts their spirit guide has for them, because the spirit world knows them way better than you could possibly know them, and they know exactly what words they need to hear in order to bring them closer to God that you could say in that moment. And those, if you're good at meditating, you can just see them, like on a screen, or hear them in your mind, or whatever works for you, and then you can say them out loud to them, and then watch the magic work. Like here,
Okay,
for
but
an
I would argue that
Mhm.
I do that like with my friends, basically, large majority of the time. Yeah, if I feel like I'm giving them some kind of advice, or can I just say with you guys, sometimes I feel like I'm doing it, like I'm saying things that I that flow through me. But like one of the things that I actually got stuck on very recent, up until very recently, was this idea that all we ever do, all anyone ever does, is channel the creator.
Yes.
We are channels. That's
yes.
all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we all. There is only the voice of God.
We could channel
There is no
different
other
aspects
voices.
of the creator.
Doesn't matter. There's the ego bit in here. Yeah,
Yes.
isn't you? The bit behind that ego that hears the ego talking. The you know, the bit that actually witnesses, the bit that actually feels. Yeah, not the thing that thinks about it. Yeah, right. That bit there, that's the same for all of us. That's creator, right? But when we channel creator through this little vessel, that's what life is. Channeling creator through this little vessel.
Yes, but there's different.
But that's for everyone
options.
all of the time. And when you're talking and you are really in the flow and you are really helping people, then you know that that's the voice of the creator coming out. You know that's what you're channeling.
Okay.
And you can
yes.
see the effect on it afterwards when people are like in tears because you've just laid out some fucking truth they've never told anybody purely by adding little bits and bobs together and just letting it flow out what they need to hear, what you know they need to hear.
Yes.
I'm only realizing very recently, like maybe the past few weeks, I channel the fucking time. I just don't know who. So it must just be
Mhm.
created straight through me because it's not me. I stopped doing that years ago. Very odd.
Yes. Yes, I remember when you were struggling with this idea. Yes, though it, we can become a more refined channel. And for example, like some people, one of the best examples or analogies I have is imagining ourselves as a lantern or like a lighthouse. And then if we have resentments or egoic thoughts or whatever, that's like soot on the panes of the lighthouse, and so the light that comes out is dim and distorted. But if we clean out our resentments and more of our personal leanings, if you will, then we can be a more pure channel of the creator's love and light.
See, now when it comes to judgments and when it comes to these things, I think once again, my weird little life that synchronistically led me to whatever. I think that my kind of self-hate thing that I've had like most of my life, yeah, has helped me to be far better with judgment and not having this egoic sense of judging people than most people get, because of the fact that I always view myself as less than others, always have done. So then, no matter what anybody else has done, no matter whatever or any other bad thing, I always think that I'm less than them. So through my
That's
whole
very
life, I've always done
English of
this.
you.
100%, and I've always said that. That's just
But
me being English, right?
yes,
But that right there means that I also remove any judgment of anybody doing anything wrong. That's not English at all. That's very un-English. But because I always put myself at the bottom, looking up, I always think that everybody else is. I don't judge anyone for doing anything. I understand that everyone can get into situations where anything can happen. So I don't judge that way because of the fact that I've always thought of myself as less than whoever I'm judging. So now when I've come to this spiritual point, there's no judgment. I don't have any judgment of anything, of anyone. And in fact, I'm very critical of other people judging, because who are we to judge?
So I just wanted to add that the Confederation's ideal for healing and unblocking chakras, you should not see yourself as either superior or inferior, but rather as identity, as equal to, because we are all the creator.
And that yellow ray thing has been the thing that I struggled with the most. Yeah, that backwards forwards who I am, my identity in society, the egoic self, and the mastery of the world. I struggle with that more than everybody. But once again, I think that was for a reason.
Mhm.
So that when it came to these, ego deaths, and when it came to these other, enlightening, awakening moments, that I knew how to handle those, and I didn't mind losing my personality. I didn't mind losing that ego because it was never as important as the idea of the philosophical death, that human life, your egoic life or incarnation, means nothing in comparison to the truth. Finding the philosophical truth will be more important than any one life. So I don't matter. I don't exist. All those things
All right.
fall away.
That is not true. You do matter and you do exist in this plane. You know, I have to walk around. I deal with people so ignorant, so fucking crazy out of their minds that it doesn't matter. You do exist, Ed. And if I'd tell you anything, I think you're one of the most brilliant people I ever met on this planet Earth, besides my grandfather. And you know what? I'll tell you that. And you're so fucking smart. Andrii smart, Adam smart, Fred smart, freaking and you guys just sitting there. I just kind of watch things and I laugh, but I still get things done. Human
But hey, dude,
beings are.
you deserve to be here as much as anyone, man. You're always an inspiration, guys.
Well,
And you're
let me
living
tell
in
you,
very tough conditions in DC of all places.
you see my skin, it's all on my Facebook. I don't hide anything. You could just go look, and human beings are at a point where they've been so digitalized, and it's really not the problem from that, but it's the problem of what they're putting their energy to. So I'm just kind of holding on tight, and I'm hoping we're all gonna find out something that will work. But they let them talk, friggin' whatever. I'm gonna keep on walking. Um, but Ed, you don't have anybody against you. You just might not have people agree with you, and that's okay. I don't have people agree with me ever. Besides a couple people. So I wouldn't go down so hard on yourself. And same with Adam. He made his choice. We've all made this path, and I see it from every little way. But you don't have to worry. It will all turn out good. So I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna celebrate Shabbat and listen. But you guys have a wonderful night. I love you guys, and
All right.
Love you, Benny.
I'm always.
Mhm.
I've been sick for the last 3 weeks. You don't understand how my skin exploded. I'm in stage 3. It won't kill me, but it's gonna kill me.
Ouch.
It's yeah, it hurts. So I'll talk to you guys later.
Okay.
Love you, Benny, dude.
Here. So let's finish up this judgment as a call to inner work. An entity which is able to see clearly Clearly, the purpose of the third density illusion is able to see that no matter what experience is encountered, the potential for each experience is enlightenment. Okay, yeah, we were just there. Okay, transforming judgment through love and meditation. It is only when you allow the intellectual mind to become quieted you may begin to realize your connection with the infinite love of the Creator. The means by which one frames the interpretation of any kind of catalyst is the factor which reflects the inner opening of the heart and unconditional love. Use meditation to explore why you judge this individual. Ask yourself, what fears or insecurities are being triggered? How can I open my heart to see them as the Creator? This practice can help you transform judgment into understanding, revealing the inner work needed to grow in love and unity. Practical steps to inner work interaction. Reflect on your triggers. When you feel judgment arising, take a moment to journal or meditate on what specifically bothers you about the individual's behavior. Is it their vulgarity, their habits, or the way they make you feel? Use this as a mirror to identify your own insecurities or unresolved issues. Practice loving visualizations. As suggested in the document, visualize the individual surrounded by Creator's white light during meditation. Imagine their distortions melting away, revealing their true perfect essence. This can help you shift from judgment to compassion. Set boundaries with love. A good example of a positive wisdom at play with a backing of pure love is the manifestation or inaction of what you call boundaries. If the individual's behavior is harmful, set clear boundaries, but do so with love, not anger. For example, you might say, I care about you, but I need to step away when the conversation becomes too harsh for me. Cultivate self-love to reduce judgment. Love one another, and you shall indeed love yourself. But love not yourself, and indeed you cannot love another. So this is one of the things that the English and the British, and indeed like a lot of North Americans, also struggle with, is the fact that they don't love themselves enough, and it makes it difficult for them to love others, and that's actually you know why we have so many people living in poverty. Anyways, so if
I
we
don't know whether
raise,
that's necessarily true.
well,
I think that sometimes if you can't love yourself, loving others can literally be the only reason that you live. Because I didn't love myself, and I have an unstoppable, like unfathomable reservoir of love, and always have had. But that's because of the only person I never showed love to was me.
Well,
ever.
That's what I'm
that's
saying.
the only issue. Everybody else, there was I had unconditional love for basically everything other than myself. So that has all changed. May I just say though, right? Yeah, before we get too much far into it, you know, like when I first read the raw material, the first time through, I had my first kind of Kundalini kind of experience, and when that yellow, when that little flower that opened, and I saw this burning yellow sun inside me, and I really realized what the ego was, that it was this incredible burning torch of the Creator put into this little bubble, and that's me, that's who I am, right? And then at that point I was able to like look up at the heart chakra that's always beaming, has been forever, that's why I can love everyone else, and finally actually kind of bathe in its light myself, right? And it was one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had in my entire life. The fact that I was able to let go of this self-hating and realize love for me that I've never ever had before, through the realization that I was that I was Creator. Now,
Awesome.
now the open heart chakra thing, I'd say I've always had that, and I'd say that's given me massive problems over my life, because I've had you know I've given my love to people unconditionally, and that was wrong.
Well, it's not wrong.
No,
well,
I needed more
it is
discernment
important to have discernment
in interhuman relationships.
You have to watch you're not approaching martyrdom.
Yes. Yes, it's
Uh,
important to balance love with wisdom, especially if
That's it.
you're a sixth density wanderer.
we are right now in the
Yes.
place where, the top of the pyramid, right? Yeah, we are at the place where we are balancing love and wisdom and power. Yeah, right. This is the little fourth density bit. In fact, if anybody's up for like a little kind of super geek hermetic tree thing, I had some crazy stuff in meditation that is like mind blowingly cool. But it would be a little side quest if anyone's up for it.
Cool. Well, anyways, it sounds like you've transcended your Englishism.
I
Which is
did,
good.
fully did. Ra saved me from Englishness.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Because basically the part of the issue that I find in at least North American culture is that people feel that they have all of these preconceptions like, oh, if people are poor, that means they haven't worked hard enough, or if I am poor, that means I haven't worked hard enough, or whatever. And then it's like Elon deserves to have all the money or whatever. But there's this kind of lack of recognition that everyone has the divine within them. Everyone deserves to have enough land to grow their own food and firewood. Everyone deserves to have where they can have a home.
We all
and-
deserve to exist, my friend.
Exactly. It's like if we didn't, God wouldn't have put us here on this planet. And God was very clear, Micah 4:4, that we should all have enough land to grow our own food and firewood. And he said this is God's command, him and his armies. The that's like that's the highest level command.
So
that
why the
can-
fuck are any of us paying rent? I'm just saying.
It's because basically people are not following God, and they have not cultivated that love for all beings.
Dude. What
Yes.
did the Lord's Prayer say up until 1920s or something?
What is it?
It used to say, "Forgive us our debts, and forgive us our debtors."
Yes. I thought that's what it still says.
No,
What is the-
they
what-
took that bit out because otherwise, you wouldn't have to pay any of your debts, would you?
Yes. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the English version is, but yeah, that's the original. Yes,
Yes.
Because I read this book actually that makes the claim with significant justification that Jesus was a big fan of the Jubilee and the forgiveness of debts, and that
Yes.
a lot of the large calamities and all the bad things that happened to the Jews were because of not following the Jubilee, not doing land distribution. That's basically what the Jubilee was, is
Yeah.
giving the land and redistributing it amongst the people.
I read this other crazy thing the other day, about how in the Torah it says that Jews shouldn't lend money.
Yes.
Right. So then you get this whole thing about like every single place that they set up and lent money, they charge high interest rates. And if you go all the way back through history,
Money at interest. Yes.
all the way back through history, the times that the Jews have been persecuted or have been attacked or whatever, have been these points where they've charged insane amounts of interest rates on the money that they're lending. And then I was like, wait a sec, what did Jesus actually get angry for? The only thing Jesus really got pissed off about in the whole Bible.
Money changers.
Yeah, man.
Well, there. Oh, Shar was there.
Sorry, Shah.
Okay. She left already.
As I said, sorry. Must have offended her.
Anyhow, but
So who came in?
I just wanted to add to that. Well, personally, I think that it was really more about the ending blood sacrifices, that particular scene. But yes, I mean that the deaths is probably part of it as well. Okay, well, I'm seeing that we're getting close to time here, so I just wanted to finish up this, and then we have a little bit more of reading. Cultivate self-love to reduce judgment. Love one another, and you shall indeed love yourself. Okay, there, we just did that. Okay, seek the lesson and experience. It is when things become difficult that you seek to know the reason. Ask yourself, what is the person teaching me about love, patience, or forgiveness? How can I use this experience to align more fully with the Creator's love? Conclusion: a path of love and self-discovery. Dealing with difficult individual who is vulgar and has bad habits is an opportunity to practice the core teachings of LL research, to see the Creator in all, to respond with love, to use meditation to align with unity and understanding. By refraining from judgment, you not only free yourself from karmic entanglement, but also open the door to deeper self-awareness. The judgments you feel toward the individual are mirrors reflecting your own inner work, whether it's cultivating self love, releasing control, or embracing the unity of all beings. As Hatan beautifully states, in all things that are apparently so different, there is an underlying unity, and that unity is love. Embrace this unity and let love guide your interactions and your journey of self discovery. All right. And so let's finish the February 8th session. Okay, it's been wonderful. Okay, we thank your brothers, and at this time we transfer our contact to the one known as Austin. I am cool, and I'm again with this instrument. We would take this opportunity to take again express our deep gratitude for those present within the circle, and also all those who are aware of our words in one way or another, and who offer their calling to us from about your planet. For the interaction with the third density, particularly a planet as potent as yours, is our own catalyst for growth. Interacting with you in this way and offering our own thoughts and opinions and perspectives on the nature of the Creator allows us to further progress on our journey. And together we join hands with you as you are upon your journey, and together we walk the road paved with love to the one infinite Creator. We at this time take leave of this instrument and of this circle. We leave you as we found you, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Adonai, my friends, Adonai Vasubaragus. Yes. Okay. And then I
What does that bit
remember
at the end mean? What does that bit at the end mean again?
Adonai, it means the
No, I
divine
know what
within
Adonai means.
you.
I mean,
And
what is
Vasubaragus means my you are brothers.
And
Okay,
then,
okay.
Adonai is also my God, being Jewish.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
Yes. Well, the etymology of Adonai means like your God's possessive. As in the same God that you believe in.
yeah.
That when you say it, it's kind of referring to the person that's listening, and it's saying the same God that you believe in.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It totally
Exactly.
does, because you go in blind believing God, even Jesus. I mean, faith is blind when you have something. So,
Mhm. And I wanted to add a point of clarification to what Ed was saying earlier about Jews lending money. So basically, in the Bible, the way the Jewish people interpret it is that they're not supposed to lend money to other Jews at interest. And so they're
right,
allowed to lend money to anyone who's not a Jew. And the Christians interpreted it as they're not allowed, because they've also got the Old Testament, that they're not
but
allowed to lend money to Christians. And so only in Western Europe, not in Eastern Europe, but in Western Europe, many of the kings kept Jewish slaves in order that they would have a source of money lenders in
right,
their country.
right.
For yeah, in the Eastern, like in Russia and stuff, they didn't do this. So it's a unique thing to Western Europe. Only in Western Europe were kind of Jews the king's slaves. And then
And,
basically when the people
well,
would get
I don't want
upset,
to. Yeah, finish, and then let
Yeah,
me go.
when people would get upset, the king would be like, "Oh, it wasn't me, it was the Jews who are his slaves." And so it was kind of a way of him escaping responsibility.
So, like, there's a story from the Bible. I'm not sure which one, but Jesus overturned a table of donations. People giving money to the church, and this is in there. So maybe that relates to the same thing. Like, you're not
So,
going to take money from your brother or whatever.
No, they were doing banking in the temple.
no, I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
clarify
yeah.
what was happening
Same.
there. I want to clarify
Yep.
what was happening there. So what was happening there? Okay, do you guys remember when they tested Jesus and they're being like, okay, here's the coin, and it's like Caesar wants us to pay tax, and
Right.
then he says, whose face is this? That's Caesar's face, and they give unto Caesar what is Caesar. So their next step was, okay, we've got to develop our own currency that doesn't have Caesar's face on it. And so they're kind of trying to observe the letter of the law without observing the spirit of the law. And so they were exchanging Caesar's coin into temple coins so that they would not be charged, or they would be able to then try to catch Jesus and saying, hey, they're trying to tax our temple coins, or something like this.
So that
And so
relates.
the temple coins were used for a particular reason, and that reason was to buy blood sacrifices for the Passover. So there were doves, there were lambs, and there were other things that were kind of unblemished creatures to be used for blood sacrifice in the temple. And Jesus had a whip to get all the animals to leave. Okay, and this was a prophetic moment. And then if you look at the words, he basically says that he is the final sacrifice. You will not need to do any more blood sacrifices ever, because he is the final blood sacrifice. And also how the dove is the symbol of peace? That is because he released the doves. That is when he broke the cages of the doves and let them free. Okay, that was freedom, that was peace, and that was what he did there. I know a lot of people focus on the overturning the tables part, but really what he was doing is he was putting an end to blood sacrifice. So no longer can we judge others. No longer can we feel that it is justifiable to punish others, or to draw blood, or to hurt others, because Jesus has already, died and bled for their sins. Okay, for everyone's sins. Okay, we have to take off the heavy yoke of cruelty and judgment and anger, and take on the light yoke of Jesus Christ in forgiveness, love, and kindness for all beings. Okay, and then just
And
be that
debt.
love. Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
No, he said no debt.
No deaths.
Right.
Debt.
No debts. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Well, if you look at it honestly this way, and you mentioned the Lord's Prayer earlier. If you forgive your debtors as you have your debts forgiven, basically what you're doing is, if you're able to see others as a creator enough that you're able to forgive them for all of what you might perceive as missteps, then you're just as easily getting yourself forgiven. In as much.
100%. Jesus came here to teach us how to break the wheel, how to balance karma, dump all of the karma.
Yes.
To lose
Break
all of
the
it.
cycle of
You
karma.
do it, break the cycle of karma purely by love, acceptance, open the heart chakra.
Forgiveness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, get forgiveness, compassion, understanding everyone, and no judgment of others.
Yes. So this important part from
Ah,
Sermon
I
on
have
the
to go,
Mount.
guys. I've got a couple of phone calls. I'm gonna have to go.
Oh, okay,
I'll be
sure.
back in
Yeah,
a minute.
we're almost done here. If you forgive those who sin against you, your heavenly Father will forgive you. But if you refuse to forgive others, your Father will not forgive your sins. So basically, it's that this is where that whole forgive your debtors as we forgive them, because the idea is that if you do not
Good.
forgive, then you simply won't go to
What?
heaven.
Right.
Okay. All right. So I think we're at 9 o'clock, guys. Any closing
And
remarks?
also, in addition to that, Jesus didn't really like people having to pay tax for things to get their perception. That's what they perceived the sacrifices were as, buying their way to
To heaven.
heaven.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, Catholicism revived that practice for a long time.
Well, actually, no, Catholicism did it first, but the Mennonites did it, or not the Mennonites, the Methodists did it too.
The Methodists? I'm not
Yeah,
familiar with that.
they I can't remember when they abolished it. I think they abolished it in the church in like the 1930s or something, but it got to the point, it was a small town thing too, where you had to donate certain amount to the church in order for your family to get certain rows in the seating in the church.
Really?
So the people that donated the most money, their families got to sit in the front rows.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a strange thing. I didn't know
Well,
they did that.
it's a weird flex because nobody's going to know unless you go to church. And so everybody else is going to go, oh, so and so's family, they must have a lot of money to give to the church. They're sitting in the front rows. That's kind of what it flavors the whole church experience when you do
Yes.
that.
Yes. It's true. It's true. Yeah, and the Orthodox Church, they have their own version of sacrifice, but they use wax candles. So basically, they have this little attachment wooden pre-church building, and then you go into the pre-church building, and then the priest or whoever will you can buy some candles, and then you go into the church, and then you light your candle and put them as a sacrifice to a saint in order to get a boon in return. And so different saints, they give you different boons. Certain saints give you boons of wealth, other gives you boons of health. And so it's kind of like a very pagan, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well, you know what? Benny's in Washington, D.C. If you go to the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., you'll see exactly what he was just talking about, where you'll have, I didn't know they called them booths, but you have these different, like, consecration areas with a saint statue in there, and then all these people put candles there. That's what he's talking
Right.
about.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can go there, Benny. Maybe next week you can go. We can do live stream from the National Cathedral. It's open 24/7.
We can, but I've already been there, to a police officer's funeral. So, and that was this past year. I'll post the pictures. I got them. That his wife helped me get over developmental learning disabilities. So, he was a Prince George's County cop, and he died from aneurysm. So, I still went up there, judged completely, people snarling at me, whatever. And I'm glad I did it because it was a hell of an experience. I will post those pictures soon, but I'm out tonight. I have to go to sleep, and
Okay,
all of
sure.
y'all did great. Fucking, I love y'all. Freaking up.
So as we found you, we'll leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator, the one within you. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the infinite power and the infinite peace of the infinite creator within you, my friends. Adonai Vasubaragos. Okay, ended the stream. Later, go.